Welcome to Unbreakable Latina. Hi guys, welcome back to Unbreakable Latina. This is your host Melina. I hope you're having an amazing day, whatever day you're listening to this on. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. I want to take a little moment to celebrate the fact that I hit 1 million downloads on Unbreakable Latina. I cannot even believe we're here today. I remember starting the podcast here in the comfort of my room, and I'm still here. I had no idea where this journey was going to take me. I thought it was going to be like a little project that I do on the side. I didn't realize how much it would grow. Thanks to TikTok and Instagram, my podcast has grown so much. I remember in the beginning when I put the first episode, I had 70 listeners or 70 plays and a couple listeners. And it was practically just like family, people that knew me and followers here and there that I gained. I don't even know how, or listeners that, I don't know, Spotify pushed out my podcast to, or someone was searching. I have no idea how I gained those listeners, but I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you if you've been here since day one. Thank you to whenever you found me. It honestly makes me so happy when I receive messages saying like, hey, your podcast made me feel less alone, because I started the whole podcast because I felt alone in all the things that I had been through. And I thought it was only me going through these things. But once I started my social media journey, my podcasting journey, I realized that a lot of us go through the same things, but we just don't talk about it. It fulfills me to help others. And I also have found that having this podcast has helped me heal so much. It has helped me grow. You guys have seen the growth of me as a person and how I started, how my voice was so timid and I was shy. And little by little, I've shown my personality more. I'm still a shy girl, but it's not as much as I was in the beginning. So thank you for being here. Thank you for continuing to listen. Honestly, sometimes I've had thoughts of quitting. I've shared that with you guys plenty of times because I feel like, oh my God, like I just keep doing this and I'm still working my full-time job, but I wish I could do this full-time. If you guys could do me a huge favor and complete the survey that Acast is requesting from all my listeners, and this survey is going to help me match with podcast sponsors. So that way, one day, I am a full-time podcaster and I could quit my 8 to 5 and still pay my bills and do what I love and have more time to go back to weekly episodes, because I know a lot of you guys are like, please go back to weekly episodes. And honestly, I wish I could, but I just can't handle it right now. You guys fill out this survey. It's about 10 minutes long. I'm not gonna lie. I took it myself and I was like, damn, like no one's gonna want to do this, but it would mean so much to me if you ever have felt like my podcast helped you just a slight, or you find it like a distraction, or maybe you want to criticize me and say something that, what could it improve? Please fill out this survey. It would mean so much to me, and share it to any of the friends that you have that listen to my podcast. If you guys want to see me weekly, see me bring guests and just be happier, then please fill out that survey. I would really appreciate it. Another celebration that I have, I'm just celebrating myself today, okay? So this podcast is about celebrating me. No, I'm just kidding. But I wanted to celebrate the fact that the Miggy Social Club turned 1 year on March 17th, I believe was our first meetup. We're having a walk Sunday, so this episode is going to come out Monday, so the walk's going to happen. I'm super excited for this hike. About 200 and something girls RSVP'd. We'll see how many show up, because so many RSVP and then maybe like 25% of them show up. If you're looking for another Amigos Social Club outing, we have a few that are coming up, but another one that we're doing is we're partnering up with a club in Santa Ana, and it's going to be a corrido night and perreo. And those tickets are coming out soon. You guys will see them in the next week, I think. I'm excited for that. I'm not a big party girl anymore porque ya estoy viejona. Pero cuando salgo, I activate my 20-year-old self. And It's gonna be so much fun. There's gonna be banda and all the amigos are gonna be there. Y a lo mejor te encuentras un amigo por ahí. Or bring your amigo. I don't know. Bring your amigo or what if we did like a dating? Because I know dating is tough right now. All the single girlies that are amigos, they're always like, where do we meet guys? And I'm like, I don't know. Like mine just fell from the sky. What if one day we have like a mixer where you bring a single guy that you could vouch for amigos that's single as well? What if one day we have a mixer where every girl brings somebody, a single man that they can vouch for, like a cousin or a brother? Because I feel like that's the only way dating works now, is if someone vouches for the person. And even then, it's still a little complicated, but it makes it like easier, because being a girl is scary, dating is scary. I was talking to my boyfriend about like the day that we met, and he's like, I can't believe you asked me, like you were okay with me picking you up. I was like, yeah, I never do that. So I don't know why I was a little crazy and asked him to pick me up on our first date. What if he was a psycho? I don't know. Anyways, yeah, we're celebrating our wedding anniversary, celebrating 1,000,000 downloads, celebrating life, celebrating my birthday. Oh my gosh, I'm just over here tooting my own horn. Okay, so let's get into today's topic. So recently I received a DM from one of my listeners and she requested this topic. And I also had been having conversations with my friends about this, and I thought it was a perfect time to talk about it. How to communicate better with our Latino parents about emotions and childhood trauma. Many of us grew up in households where emotions weren't talked about, traumas weren't even a thing. And maybe one day you try to express yourself and you were met with, "And what's wrong now? ¿Y ahora qué te pasa? Hay unas personas que lo tienen peor." Or maybe you were met with, "Cuando yo estaba chiquita, yo tenía la vida más difícil que tú." And then you shut down because you don't want to express how you feel because your parents are already not validating your feelings. So if any of this sounds familiar, you're not alone. A lot of us have gone through this where you express your emotion and it was met with, "But other people have it worse." Or, "I had it worse." "Oh, you te ahogas en un vaso de agua." Maybe we do have it easier than our parents ever had it. That doesn't mean that your feelings are not valid. So how do we communicate this to our parents that are sometimes a little stubborn and not that they downplay, but they feel like, okay, well, the life I gave you is way better than the life that I had. Before you even start conversations with them, you have to remember their background. Where did they come from? Did they come from a family that was very loving? Did they come from a family that talked about emotions? And most likely they didn't. A lot of our parents had tons of siblings. Could you imagine having 14 kids? 15? My grandma was a single mom and had 7. My dad's mom and dad had 15. Our parents were not taught to talk about their feelings. They weren't taught to talk about their traumas. They were just taught to keep going and not process any trauma. Échale ganas, ponte las pilas, sigue adelante, porque nadie va a hacer tu trabajo por ti. And looking back at that has made me understand my parents way more than I ever have. Acknowledging their experience does not excuse toxic behaviors that our parents have, but it does help us approach these conversations with empathy. And I think empathy is so important when you're having any conversation where you're confronting somebody about maybe something they said that hurt you. You always have to have empathy, because a lot of people don't think about what they say, or don't think about, we don't all have the same emotions, right? Like I could tell you something and it could be highly offensive to you, and you could tell me the same thing and I just don't care. If our parents didn't have a safe space to express their feelings, how can we expect them to have these emotional conversations where they validate your feelings or they validate your trauma? We can't expect that. Another factor that we can't ignore when bringing up these topics of conversation is generational trauma. The struggles that our grandparents faced, from poverty to war to oppression, displacement, left a mark on our parents. And in turn, it shaped the way they raised us. So sometimes when our parents dismiss our emotions, it's not necessarily because they don't care, it's because they can't understand what you're feeling. So like I said, you have to understand who you're talking to before you bring up these topics of conversations. What have your parents been through? Why are they the way they are with you? Who was there for them to express their emotions? Do they express their emotions? Are they able to communicate their feelings? There's been so many times when my mom cries and she gets upset that I ask her, like, why are you crying? Like, we'll have a conversation and she starts crying. or maybe a disagreement, and she'll start crying. And I'll be like, Mom, why are you crying? No, 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 déjame. And I'm like, no, but like, I want to know why you're crying. Like, did I say something hurtful? Did it bring up something sad? And I'm here sitting with her, like trying to understand her, because at the same time, I'm like, damn, am I a jerk because I said this? Or is she just hurt because she doesn't understand how I feel? And it frustrates me. But at the same time, it's like, girl, we got to learn how to communicate our feelings. And little by little, I feel like I've helped my mom communicate her emotions more, because my mom's the type to just close off. I'm fine. But communicating feelings can be really hard for someone that's not used to it. Like, I used to be so closed off myself. And I would be like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want anyone to know. Even now, like, I feel like a little TMI, but expressing my emotions with a partner, like, what is that? And now that I have a partner that really listens to me, and it's like, whoa, like, this is so weird. They listen and they're like, okay, well, let's talk about it. What can we do different? And I'm like, mind blown, because no one has ever created that safe space for me in a relationship. So this has helped me understand that the fact that our parents didn't have a safe space, how are they supposed to know how to act? How do we even begin to have these conversations with our parents? Well, first, it has to be the right moment. You can't just pick a random moment when you're going to work and they're going to work. Find out a time where it's like a calm time. Maybe when your mom is finishing watching her novelas, or your dad is finishing cutting the grass and he's just sitting outside. Like, something calm and peaceful. Always lead with I statements. Instead of saying, you never listen to me, say, I feel hurt when you don't listen to me, or when you don't acknowledge me, or when you don't acknowledge my opinion or my idea or my feelings. It always has to stem from, this is how I feel, not you do this and then you piss me off. Because that's the easiest way to do it. But if we're going to go on a blaming game, it's not going to go anywhere, and you're not going to have a productive conversation. I'm really blessed to have a mom that always asks me, ¿Cómo te fue tu día? I always have something to say, like, oh my God, this lady pissed me off because she said this, and that bitch is rude. And I tell her all the drama I have in my day, and she sits and listens. Que vieja cabrona. So start off small. Maybe vent about work, because I feel like I have a very unique relationship with my mom, but sometimes I have friends and they don't have deep conversations with their parents. Like, they're just like, hi, bye, I'm home, I'm leaving. If you want to get close to your parents, like, how did you get close to your friends? By sharing stories, by hanging out with them. So you can't expect to to connect with your parent if you're not trying to build a relationship with them either. And I know a lot of people are going to say, why do I want to build a relationship with my parent when they haven't even tried it with me? Let's go back to thinking about the fact that they never had that with their parents. You have to work on the relationship too. You can't be like the victim of like my upbringing, because I feel like a lot of us are like, oh, I have my trauma and my childhood and this, but we're not even trying to fix it. So if you're not trying to fix it, nothing's ever going to change, and you're not going to heal for the future children that you have. But you have to start with yourself. I saw this, I don't know where I saw this video, and it said, the fact that you expect your parents to be there for you and they don't know how to even be there for themselves. And I was just like, mind blown. Like, it's true. A lot of them don't even know how to be there for themselves. So how do you expect them to be there for you? But you have to build a relationship. Like any relationship, you have to do the work. So start off small, start having conversation and complaining about Karen in the office. Be patient, because it doesn't happen overnight. You're not gonna crack the code on how to talk to your mom about your emotions or your dad overnight. It's gonna be work. And if it's something that matters to you, then you're gonna have to work at it. So you're gonna be met with resistance, and they might say, ay, no empieces con tus cosas. Or even they laugh it off and diminish your feelings. It can be frustrating, but don't let that discourage you, because the more you try, perhaps they'll finally open their eyes and see your version of events. Healing is a journey, and not everyone will be ready to walk at the same pace. So keep that in mind, that just because you're in this stage of healing doesn't mean everyone else is going to be at that same rate of speed. Parents might try to guilt trip you. They might say, después de todo lo que hice por ti, y así me estás pagando con diciendo que tuviste tantos traumas y que estás triste y que estás deprimida. Another thing to take into consideration is that many parents are not going to be able to express themselves emotionally. So how do we connect with those parents? You got to learn their love language, right? Like, my mom and dad's love language has always been feeding us. And I think that most Hispanic parents, that's like their love language, right? Like doing acts of service, providing food, maybe quality time. So maybe they show you their love by cooking for you. by asking if you've eaten, by sending you home with leftovers, by fixing things around the house, by giving you unsolicited advice. Maybe these are not the verbal affirmations that you want to hear from your parents, but they're expressions of their love in their own way. Some people are just not capable of having conversations about emotions, and that's okay. You gotta be patient in the process of communicating about your emotions and about your traumas with your parents. Like I said, it's not gonna happen overnight, but sometimes you got to celebrate the small wins. Like, let's say you had a conversation with your mom about something that she did that hurt you. The next day, she might not have said sorry, but the next day, maybe she made your favorite dish of enchiladas. It's just a way that she felt that was her sorry to you. Maybe when you brought up something to your dad, maybe he won't acknowledge your pain, but maybe now he listens to you a little more. And if, let's say, your parents do respond well and they're able to talk about it, cherish those moments. Get that closure if you need it. But sometimes you're not going to get that closure. Sometimes you have to, in your heart, know that they didn't mean to do the things that they did. And yeah, a lot of people are going to say like, oh, well, I have trauma and I don't treat my kids like that. We have the internet. We have therapy. A lot of our parents didn't have those resources. Thank God we have those resources, but not everyone had those resources. And remember that breaking generational curses, breaking generational cycles, is not just about confrontation. It's just about finding better ways to communicate with your family members. You have to celebrate yourself and all the growth you've had, because having conversations like these are not easy. It's easier to just pretend like everything's fine and you're healed and you went to therapy and nothing bothers you anymore. Because I had a friend that we were talking about like things that make her angry and stuff, and she's like, oh, but it doesn't bug me. I'm like, but you're saying that it makes you angry, so obviously it does. It's like, no, I don't care that much about it. I'm like, you do, because you keep talking about it. And sometimes we just have to acknowledge the fact that, yeah, things hurt. And not talking about it is not going to make it any better. Sometimes you have to let it out. And sometimes maybe you're not going to get a sorry. You communicate your feelings and you don't get that sorry. But communicating your feelings sometimes feels freeing, because I'm like, okay, I said what I felt. People are not mind readers. They're not going to know how they hurt you. I hope this episode encourages you to connect with your parents and have these conversations. And even if it feels scary, remember that you're breaking generational curses, cycles, and it isn't about blaming. It's about healing. It's about growing. It's about understanding yourself and your loved ones. If this episode resonated with you, make sure to share it with your friends or with your coworkers and maybe even your parents. Maybe your parents need to hear it. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Follow me at Unbreakable Latina on TikTok and on Instagram. The content's gonna be hot because I'm gonna be recording in my DJI Osmo, and we're gonna be in Mexico celebrating my 35th birthday. I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Bye.